I'd now like to offer you a very exciting surprise. One of the things we do in all our conferences is that we have a patient ambassador called an eye matter ambassador, who has had the journey through wet macular degeneration and has come here to give you his or her life story on how they manage and are managing post-wet macular degeneration. Today we have with us June Meredith. June is an absolutely fantastic person. She's a mother of 11 children. She has one with her today. She is fiercely independent, and she has a strong desire to pursue her passion, which is traveling. She was diagnosed with wet AMD in 2007. A routine eye examination showed that June was losing sight in her right eye. She is a retired social services and mental health counselor and has come to us to talk today about her experiences, and I would like to welcome June. You go stand up. Okay, so.
I can't see. Hi. As you know, my name is June, and I just would like to thank the Macular Degeneration Association for inviting me to speak here today. I'm going to be speaking about my story of living through wet, age-related macular degeneration. I'd also like to thank Regeneron for sponsoring my visit here with you today. When I was first diagnosed with macular degeneration, I don't think I took it seriously enough. And I'm here today that I hope by listening to my story, it will make you more aware about having a more active approach in promoting your own eyesight. This message up here is Save Your Vision, is something that all of us are very interested in today. And I think that Dr. Nairn gave us a wonderful, wonderful overview of what macular degeneration is. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life and what it's like to live with macular degeneration. Now, I want you to know that though I may be thought of as having poor eyesight, I still have a vision for what I want for the world and for my life to be like. And the seeds for this vision was planted when I was a young girl, when my mother was sick most of the time, and so I spent a lot of time with my father. And he told me about his times during the Depression when he used to ride trains all over the United States looking for work. And with his stories gave me a sense of wanting to be more independent and certainly a sense of adventure. And I just wanted to kind of follow in his footsteps, only extended a little more. Yeah, so I just became a little more independent and adventuresome, and I would dream of seeing what a lot of the world looked like. While I was in college, I met a young man who shared my dreams of seeing more of the world. And we were married. Together, we have 11 wonderful children, and they are wonderful. One of them's here with me today, and one of them travels with me, and they're available for any time I need them and need their support. So I'm very fortunate in that respect. But as my children started growing and leaving the nest, I kind of wondered what was going to be left for me. Like a lot of us, when the kids leave the nest after being wife, mother for many years, I was kind of concerned. So I decided to return to college and to get my degree and go into a profession. Shortly after I started college, my marriage ended. But as I progressed on and got my degrees, I went into my new profession and another new journey in my life of being a social worker. And I worked mostly with mentally ill people and was a mental health counselor. During this period on my vacations, I would travel as much as I could, and I tried to go to some remote and exciting places. So over that period of time, I visited on all 7 continents. Would like to return to some of them. And so the little girl with the adventuresome dream was really living that dream. It was during my retirement, though, that I was diagnosed with macular degeneration. Back then, I never considered that the possibility that as I got older, I'd have to be more active about my eye health. And at that time, there was no treatment available. So I wasn't referred to a retina specialist. Instead, I was given an Macular grid and told to monitor my vision, the changes in my vision. Now I know how important that is. I really didn't take it that seriously, as I said. I felt too busy to worry about tracking changes in my eyesight. Besides, my right eye was compensating for the loss of vision in my left eye. And as Dr. Nern explained, that happens to most of us. So I really had no real idea about how bad my eyesight was getting. Now, if I had used the Macular grid, as it was suggested that I do, and it's very simple to use, as the doctor explained, maybe I would have realized how bad my vision really was getting. Over the next couple of years, my eyes continued to get worse. Gradually, I realized that I needed more light to read by, that I was writing larger. I had to increase the font size on the computer, and had many other difficulties with vision. But I was still caught up in my many adventures, traveling and doing volunteer work. So I kind of shrugged these off as just the unavoidable results of aging rather than the byproduct of a serious disease. Looking back, I recognize the irony in my decisions. Prioritizing my adventures over my health allowed me to see a lot of the world on a person-to-person basis, and get to, really get to know the people in different regions. And as I talked to them, whether it was a remote tribe of Indians in the Amira tribe in Panama, the group of farmers in Croatia, a basket weaver in the Maasai tribe in Africa, in Tanzania, and the rice cake makers in Cambodia. All of these people wanted the same thing, better health care for themselves and their families. And yet here I was, having it available to me here in the United States, and I wasn't taking advantage of it. So my message to you is that please take advantage of what's available to you. Well, it's just a time then when I realized my vision was getting better. I did use the Macular grid, and I realized that I really was getting bad, and I decided to see a retinal specialist. He performed a flourishing angiogram and diagnosed me with wet AMD in my wet AMD in my right eye and dry AMD in my left eye. Not only had now both eyes were affected. The product of losing the central vision in both of my eyes, or the prospect of losing the central vision in both of my eyes, really sent me into denial because I really didn't want that to happen. And I wondered what to do, because at that time I really didn't know much about AMD. And I left that appointment with the doctor without a treatment program. But my experiences as a social worker came back to me, and I decided to do research, set a plan for myself, and then start acting on it. At that time in my life, I had a friend who was really living with wet AMD, and after talking to her, I really learned a lot that I should have been learning on my own. After talking with her, I decided to really do something and become really more proactive about my own eye health. So once again, I went to a retina specialist, and this time we talked about treatment options. He told me that as part of the recommended treatment, I would need to receive regular injections in my eye. We went over the possible serious side effects of the injections. He also told me the injections might help me try to maintain my vision. Of course, I was very nervous. But after some consideration, I decided to go ahead with the treatment. The injection process itself started with a numbing after eye examination, eye acuity test, and the OCT test. Then they would put a numbing agent in my eye, and this really helped me and my nervousness, because I was really frightened about the pain. And I think that's something, say, oh, an injection in your eye, the most thing people say right away is, ooh. And that's how I felt too. Honestly, I think my imagination was kind of running wild with me before the first injection. The doctor used a tool to hold open my eye. That was reassuring, because one of the things that bothered me was blinking and ruining the treatment. The injection to me, and everyone's experience is going to be different, but to me it was kind of like as a kid when you were getting an inoculation. The thoughts and the imagination that runs wild with it before are worse than the injection itself. Now, I'm a big believer in the better your relationship is with your healthcare professional, the more comfortable you're going to be. Now, unfortunately for me, I've had to make some changes in my life. With my decreased vision, I enjoy traveling so very much, and I also was a painter. And so I still do some traveling, and painting has changed mostly to more things that are more tactical, of like working with clay and doing collages. But I still continue, with the vision of doing as much as I can with my life, continuing it as thoroughly as I can, enjoying it as much as I can, and looking forward to treatments for dry macular. And I guess I still have a bucket list of things I want to do. And I'd like to return to some of the places I visited before. I worry a little bit about, relating to the people on a person-to-person basis, as I used to be able to do. So I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by a wonderful support group. And my family is very wonderful. How do you explain 11 wonderful children? I don't know, it's called whoopee. Now, the community I live in has a support group for people with eye vision problems. I hope that you will think about finding one for yourselves. If you have macular degeneration, that's a source of information that you can gain from, and the Macular Degeneration Association certainly has a lot of information available for you. So connecting with people with similar experience is always a good thing. Now, the fact of the matter is that I didn't pay attention to some of the early symptoms of my AMD. I don't want you repeating my mistakes. So please take vision loss seriously. Test yourself with the Macular grid. Stay in touch with your medical professionals. And early diagnosis can really help a lot because there are treatments available and you'll find the one that's best for you. There are some things, you know, that help, as the doctors mentioned. I have down here wearing sunglasses. Do not smoke, or if you are smoking, stop smoking. Eating plenty of leafy green vegetables and staying as healthy as you can. Ask your doctor lots of questions and listen to what they have to say. If you're diagnosed with wet AMD, know that you aren't alone. There are many groups like the Macular Degeneration Association who will help support you. Now, I've always considered myself to have an adventuresome spirit, but AMD was the one adventure I would like to have done without. Nevertheless, I've done my best to maintain my vision. And it reminds me of one of the quotes of Mother Teresa. It says, "Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. But give the world the best you have anyway." And I thank you all.